We are with Mike DeFalco from the Historical Society in Brimfield and Cindy Scavera, who's the director of the Hitchcock Academy here in Brimfield. Let's start with the Academy.
Okay.
So tell us the history and what you do here.
Opened in 1855. The story is Samuel Austin Hitchcock was a poor kid in town, and he could not afford to go to high school at that time. You had to pay. So he left town with a borrowed dollar in his pocket. They say in the handkerchief. I think it's in the library here in town. And he made good. Came back, and he got people, residents in the town and the administration at that time to chip in money. He went around fundraising as well, and they opened up this free high school. So that's the name, the Hitchcock Free Academy. So he had the opportunity. And it was the local high school for 100 years. And then Tantasco Regional High School opened up. So that's when it closed, and they rewrote the charter, and it became a community center. And we are actually celebrating 70 years this year as a community center.
My goodness.
Yeah.
What kinds of activities do you have here?
So our focus is educational, recreational, and cultural activities. And over the years, it has evolved from different types of offerings and stuff, but currently, exercise-wise, we have fencing classes and judo to yoga and Pilates. Then we'll have pottery and stained glass classes, cake decorating. We have a brown bag speaker series, which is a historical thing, which Mike actually has often been a speaker for us. Mike could chip, he's actually a trustee, so if you think of some, we actually put on the concerts on the common for the town. So we do a lot of bigger town events. We have a Christmas event, so trying to bring the community together. We run a summer program for kids. We have pickleball courts, tennis court back there. Yeah, you name it. We have Young Girls on the Run group that meets here. AA groups meet here. We have some ladies who just come together to do art with each other, as well as another group of ladies who come and sew together. So we're open. We've been doing a lot of homesteading series the past year. So yeah, you name it, we're game to try it too, if we haven't done it.
That's amazing. Is it funded then by the town?
It is not. We are actually a public nonprofit. So we were fortunate to have some previous directors open an endowment. So that really helps to sustain us. But otherwise, it is through fundraising, through our sponsorships of our events. And then people do pay a fee to come to the classes.
When was Brimfield settled, and when was it established?
Well, it was incorporated in 1731, but people had started moving here just around 1700, 1701. But for the most part, they stayed during the summer, and then they went back to Springfield during the winter. And then there was also issues with Native Americans that they had some problems with. But by 1731, the town was incorporated. Prior to that, when they got the grant from the Massachusetts courts or whatever the governing body was at that point, the first thing they had to do is put up a meeting house for church and to put in a cemetery. So the original church, which is behind us over here, was built in 1721. But then it was found that it was too small, so they built another one about maybe 20, 30 years later. That burned down, and then they had a third church built, and it's essentially the same one since that point, around the mid-1800s, but one of the hurricanes that came through in either 1838, I think 1838 hurricane, did tons of damage, so they had to rebuild things, and they added on stuff over the years. But it was called the most photographed church in America, or in New England anyway, back in the 60s.
Oh my.
And so that was kind of the original structure in town. But after that, other things started being added, a lot of houses along the strip of Main Street here, and went from there. Originally, town meetings were held in the church.
Okay.
and all kinds of political activity. And it wasn't until 1878, 79 that the town hall was built, and then that became the, administrative center of the town.
Okay. And so when settlers were here, did they come for the farming?
The story supposedly is that, as children are wont to do and move out on their own, they just started moving east. And Brimfield at that time was the first stretch of land next to Springfield. So
Okay.
it just became the natural location for them to spread out to.
Many of the
excellent.
surrounding towns were actually part of Brimfield at one time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they started breaking off, and
Yeah.
because they
Actually-
wanted their own churches. And
Holland, Wales, parts of Warren, parts of Palmer, parts of Munson were all originally Brimfield. And then, as Cindy said, they started breaking off one by one.
are there any famous people that have come from Brimfield?
When I first moved to town, I like history, so I started looking and stuff, and I came across this woman. No one knows who she is, but she was an amazing person. She grew up, I'm trying to think where we are, just down the street here, maybe a quarter of a mile. She was born in 1780. She married the minister at the Congregational Church, Clark Brown. Her name was Tabitha Moffatt. Her father was the physician in town. They raised a family. They moved to Virginia, Maryland, Missouri. Her husband dies. Her children are older. The children decide they're going to go to Oregon on the Oregon Trail. She's in her mid-60s. She decides she's going to go with her family. She goes on the Oregon Trail. She writes this letter that's been republished in several books called the Brimfield Heroine Letter, about her experiences on the Oregon Trail and how they almost died of starvation. They were attacked by Native Americans, etc. They finally make it to Oregon on Christmas Eve, and I don't remember exactly what year it was, but she decides that she had been a teacher in Maryland, and she was, for in her 60s, in the mid-1800s, she was a very young person. She decides to start a school for the children of the pioneers, and particularly for ones who had lost their parents and stuff. Within a few years, they had got a charter from Oregon, then Tudolin University, which became what's today Pacific University. From there, she did a number of things with, as I say, younger people. In the 1970s, Oregon passed, the state legislature passed a resolution declaring her the Mother of Oregon. And,
Oh my goodness.
and another interesting thing is that during World War II, they had built about 2,700 Liberty ships. Only about 110 of them were named after women. And she's one of the people that one of the ships was named after.
We have a young man from town, Matt Shaw, who's playing for the Chicago White Sox.
Mhm.
He did great last year playing third base, but they took in Alex Bregman, so they pushed him out a little bit. But hopefully he'll have a big career and be a star, big baseball star from Brimfield. We've had some people who've played professional football also. Well, I think our windmill is a pretty neat story because it's one of the first houses that pumped water
Yeah.
way back.
Well, the windmill was built in around 1880 the building now is the St. Christopher's Rectory, but it was originally what was called the John Wiles House, and him and his family lived there, and then his granddaughter moved in after he had died, and her husband built this windmill, and the purpose was to pump water up to the third floor to a cistern on the third floor, and over the years, it started suffering damage. People didn't take care of it and stuff. So there's been several efforts over the years to refurbish it and stuff.
Okay.
And recently, like in the last year, the Diocese of Springfield, the Roman Catholic Diocese, offered it as a donation to the town. And at last year's town meeting, the town accepted it. So now we're in the process of working over there to repaint it, to clean up the area around it and stuff. And that's a historical commission project.
Oh, okay.
Another unique thing in town, which may be the only one in the state, is that there's a horse cemetery in Brimfield. Yes,
Really?
there was a gentleman who had a farm, and his horses and ponies were like part of the family, and he wanted to respect them when they were gone. So he had a horseshoe-shaped wall built, and there's like 6 or 7 horses that are buried there.
I think one of the other things, as a country celebrating its 250th, we have nearly as close to 200, over 200 people who left and fought in the Revolutionary War. For a very small town at that time, a lot of people.
It was 189. It turned out it was something like 35% of the population or something. It was amazing the amount of people.
Wow.
And then right out here is the Civil War Memorial. We were one of the first towns in the country actually to have a memorial put up in 1866. But
The Grand Trunk Railroad was going to come through here too, but that all died off when the person
who was on the Titanic died.
Down under, but that was coming right through town. And there's different places in town where you can see the trucks, and they call it trusses, where it was going to be built and stuff. But
Oh my goodness.
we do have a family story that says our grandmother did not want it coming through, and that she tied herself to a tree. It was in one of them.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
But it took care of itself.
Yeah? Okay, I guess so. I can't.
The parking lot over here used to be the Brimfield Hotel. There was a
Okay.
hotel in town from 1808 to 1941 when the last one burned down. And that was owned by various people over the years. At one point, the proprietor decided that there was no drinking, so it was known as the Temperance House.
Oh, okay.
Yet, while it was the Temperance House, at some point in the 1800s, I found a newspaper article how it was raided by the police, and they found empty barrels and bottles in the basement. So, a Temperance House, but not really. Another one of the owners was a man named Silas Herring, who became very wealthy. He created this fireproof safe, which became, up to that point, there were a lot of old documents burned because they put them in wooden safes and things like that there. And he had the bright idea of making a fireproof one, which towns all over the country, cities purchased. And we have one of those in the town hall.
Cool.
He also donated the fence that's around the Civil War Memorial.
Well, thank you very much. It's been fascinating to learn about Brimfield. I think it's a great little town beyond the antique market.
Thank you
And I'm glad we got to find out about it.
Well, thank you.
for coming and taking the time to